Well, hi everybody. Thanks for joining. We want to get started on time. So I know we're going to have additional people join. We had about 30 people who asked to join the meeting today. So we have a lot of people on the call and we want to keep the call short because we intend on recording and posting it up to our YouTube and also on Facebook. So it's really important for us to kind of keep it kind of short, but get all the important points out, that we want to do. After the 30 minutes, we are going to, we will end the official part of the call, and then people can stay on and, we can have a longer discussion. But for the purposes of us posting it out, we're going to try to keep it to 30 because nobody wants to watch a long video, right? So with that, I am going to ask two quick things. I want want is such a weird word. Please introduce yourself in the chat box. Let us know your name and who you are. I'm going to do a quick introduction of myself. I'm Raquel. I'm a resident of Southwest Detroit and the Executive Director of Southwest Detroit Environmental Vision. And Maggie and Maria will introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Maggie Striz-Kalman. I'm the Director for the Healthy Air Program with Southwest Detroit Environmental Vision. Grew up in Melvindale, my family's there, and in Allen Park and Southgate on the way downriver. I live in Ann Arbor these days, but work in Detroit and working to do what we can to reduce emissions.
And go ahead, Maria.
Hi, I am Maria Cerconi. I am a project manager for the Clean Diesel Initiative at SDEV, and I have lived in Metro Detroit my entire life, and I went to college in Detroit. So I'm just trying to do the best I can for the city and make a positive change.
Great. And can everybody view the chat? We've got Teresa Landrum and Luz and Sheila from EPA in Chicago. Iselda, if you could text us, put in the chat. We have a lot of residents who have been working on this issue, and we have a lot of other nonprofits and partners that do this really great work with us. Not one organization could do all of this work, and so we always want to recognize everybody's beautiful work. We definitely want to do this more regularly, as a lot of residents have been asking for information. And so today we want to talk about 3 of the things that we're working on. If you are working on a project, let us know in the chat box. We work with DHDC, we work with Simone Segovac. There's a lot of other folks in the room. So with that, I will be also chatting with you on in the chat. So Maggie, go ahead and kick us off with the points.
Sure. Yeah, well, thanks again, folks, for being here. This is the second of our community information sessions. And the idea for these, as Raquel was saying, is to have short meetings to share information about issues facing the community related to environment and public health, and provide some ideas for action that people can take to address those issues. So today's topic is on diesel emissions, and I'm going to share some information about the problem itself, and then 2 actions that we are working to help organize with community members and other organizations. And those are truck routing, where trucks can drive in the city, and truck idling. And we'll get into what that means and why it's a problem. Go ahead and put questions in the chat. We'll get to them as we can. And looking forward to continuing this conversation with some follow-up meetings to keep momentum going on issues related to diesel emissions. I'm going to share my screen, and I might flip in between a few different pages here because I can't help myself but have a bunch of things open at once. Okay, so you should see a screen that includes a PowerPoint slide. It says us, them, and you. So hopefully you're seeing that. And what we want to talk about with that is there are things that we can all do to address emissions. And in this case, we're talking about diesel pollution, but that's true with any kind of environmental pollutant. There are roles for us as individuals, for folks who are working for nonprofits or advocacy organizations, roles for the government, roles for the private sector. And so we want to talk a little bit about diesel exhaust specifically. It's part of our lives. Diesel is a fuel that's in use. We all order things, we all receive things. Trucks that run on diesel primarily move goods. And so it's part of our lives, but there are other alternatives. We'll work to get those into use. And today we want to talk about some other ways that we can reduce emissions from trucks that do use diesel. So diesel does affect public health and environmental health. On the environmental side, one example is that diesel soot, particulate matter, it reduces the life of trees, and it can reduce tree drought tolerance. So if there are long periods of drought, then trees may be less able to handle or tolerate those periods of drought, and so even more likely to die. We know trees are important for greenhouse gas emissions management and for public health with helping to clear the air overall. Diesel affects public health through the CAFE project, Community Action to Promote Healthy Environments, with U of M and many other partners. It was estimated that 280 deaths and 380 heart attacks occur every year in Detroit based on exposure to diesel exhaust emissions. That's a significant problem. Other issues include eye, nose, throat, and lung irritation, lightheadedness, dizziness, aggravation of bronchitis or asthma, reduced growth of young lungs for young people. So developing young lungs, whether in utero or for the very young, that growth can be inhibited or slowed down or damaged due to diesel exhaust. Kidney damage, high blood pressure, certainly lung cancer is associated with diesel exhaust, and as we said, heart attacks. So that's a sampling of some of the health impacts that are related to diesel. So it's important that we work together to reduce diesel exhaust. With the anti-idling issue, what we've got in the city is an ordinance, so a law that allows for people to report when you see a truck idling its engine. And what that means is, like any of us, if we're idle, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, we're sitting idle. The same thing is true with a truck. If it's running its engine but it's not driving anywhere, for one, it's bad for air quality, it's bad for public health, it's also bad for the truck's engine. So all around, it's not a great thing to have happening. Many residents over the years have complained about this being a problem and worked with city leaders like Council Member Castaneda Lopez and others to get a rule in place that would restrict engine idling. And so we'll go through some ways you can report complaints about engine idling. But I want to talk too about some challenges with that rule as it's written. And SDEV, our organization, and others are working with Council Member Castaneda Lopez to see that ordinance, that rule changed, to see it amended, hopefully sometime this year, that would make it more enforceable. The problem with enforcement is that the law says that there has to be a warning issued to the truck driver as its first citation, its first ticket. And so there's no way for the court system, the law enforcement system, to process warnings. So the amendment, just for one example to that rule, could change that rule to say that you would issue a ticket first instead of a warning, or create some way for warnings to be tracked in the law enforcement system so that there could be a ticket issued if someone is a repeat violator or a repeat offender. So that's an example of some of the challenges with the rule as it's written. The other issue that we wanted to talk about today, before we get into demonstrating how to file a complaint or a comment, is the truck routes study. and truck routing recommendations that the City of Detroit is working on. Many of you on this call may be aware of this, but last year, after many years of working by residents and others to see something happen, the city started a study to look at truck routing, where trucks are driving on large roads, on residential streets. Are they supposed to be on those streets? Are they not? And getting input from the public and others about where should trucks be driving and where should trucks not be driving. And so that process started last year with a subcommittee that SDEV participated on, and there were 4 community meetings held. The first one was July 11th last year, so it was just about a year ago that community input was sought to begin with. And what we want to do is keep that drumbeat going, because it's been a year. The report recommendations have not been issued to the public. And we want to make sure that public engagement continues so that resident voices, other stakeholder voices are heard by the city before final decisions are made about what streets will be allowing heavy trucks and what streets won't. So let me pull up another item for you. What we're going to look at is the truck spot tool and the Improve Detroit app, as well as the truck route study webpage. Each of those sites has an opportunity for you to take action or make comment on these topics. First, I'll go to the truck route study website, because that one is kind of an open forum at this point. Because there hasn't been a report made public, there hasn't been further action after the last public meeting in October, you can really submit any suggestion that you want to see. So you should be seeing now a web page with a header that says the census matters, and in the middle of the page it says Southwest Trucks en route. Nod your head if you see that, anybody. Okay, great. And so this web page is linked in our slides, and we'll share that with you all after this session. But this has information about what the study is. And here in the middle, there's a way you can suggest routes for trucks in the city. So you have to click on this word app, which opens up a map tool. And this is going to be one way that you can make comment. I also will share how to make comment to City Council as an example for what we can do. Many of you on this call may already know how to do these things, but our goal with these Zoom info sessions is to make sure everybody knows how to make comment and take action. So you get to this Southwest Trucks en route, and you have to go to explore, or I'm sorry, you have to go to participate, this top button at the top right of the screen. And from there, you can continue as a guest or create a login. And that will allow you to drop pins and make comments as an interested party. So what you can do is add a file. If you have an image yourself, you can just enter an issue, trucks driving on residential street, and then you want to enter a location. You can use this locate me button, which will find out where you are and import that into the tab. You can find it on a map by dropping a pin. You can enter a location, and that could be a specific address or an intersection. Like, say we might want to put in, let's say, junction at Merritt Street, and it brings up this intersection. So you could click that on, and then you do want to type in a description of what is it that your issue is there. Needs a crosswalk, needs a sign to slow down traffic. Heavy trucks on junction should not turn onto Merritt. You know, you could type in any of these things that you want to say, accept terms and submit. And that's one way to click it. or submit comments. And that is something that we want to work to continue over this summer at least and into the fall. So we'll talk more about that. Again, the links will be included. And the other thing I wanted to show you is, and we'll include this again after the fact by email and in the notes when the Zoom is shared as a recording, but we'll show you how to find the email addresses and physical mailing addresses for council members and the mayor's office, which you can use your general email system to type up an email. This would go to Brenda Jones, the council president, or you could send a letter by mail. And we've got some suggested statements that you might make, things you want to include in that. So what could a complaint say? If you're not using the truck route app that we just looked at, you want to include some of these points. And this will be included again after the fact. But you want to say if there's a one-time problem or if it's a regular thing that happens over and over again. This company's trucks have been sitting at this corner every day for 2 years while I-75 has been under construction, for example. You might say something like that. Include identifying information if you can. And the idea is to resolve the issue. So if you can say the truck company's name, if it's on the trucks, you can include the license plate number. You may want to include what is the impact on your family's health or your perceived impact. If you already have family members or yourself with respiratory concerns or heart disease, cardiovascular disease, you might want to say that in your comment that this is something that is aggravating or could aggravate health concerns that we're already dealing with. You want to state what are your recommendations for the truck routes. They should never be on the street, or there could be some exemption if for some reason you feel there should be an exemption. And then with the truck routes too, one of the things that we want to share is, because this is a not finalized plan yet, we could make comments that ask the city to build in some kind of checks or a way to amend the routing plan when it is finalized, so that once the thing is done and it's moving forward, if we find that there are problems that weren't anticipated, weren't seen ahead, then there's a process by which to change that, instead of just having some finalized truck routes plan that can never be changed, or at least not changed easily. You could ask that the city in the truck routes plan consider incentivizing or giving bonuses if there's going to be a low or zero emission truck used instead of a diesel truck, for example. The idea is to reduce diesel pollution and reduce noise, vibration. A lot of the low or zero emission technologies don't have those same problems of noise and pollution from the tailpipe. And if there is a specific problem, you always want to include dates and times if you can. And it's okay to estimate from your memory. If you're like, last week Tuesday around 2:00 p.m. for 30 minutes, I saw trucks just continuously coming down from one facility on this road, and they're not supposed to be on this road, for example. That would be one way you could provide comment. And I realize I'm going through this kind of quickly, but again, we want to keep a short meeting, provide some actions, and then we're going to have follow-up meetings to help do this more regularly, provide comment more regularly. So along with the anti-idling campaign, the issue with that, I included some talking points in here specific to the anti-idling campaign. And similar to with truck routes, you can make comment directly to city council members, directly to the mayor's office, and you can report idling trucks to the city for enforcement or attempted enforcement. And there's also another web tool called TruckSpot that we want to highlight. That's a really great way for you to submit what's happening in your area. So with the ordinance, we want to make sure that there's a way by changing that ordinance for law enforcement officials to address it. If there's a truck that's a problem consistently, then the officers need to be able to write a ticket. There has to be some way to hold this, hold polluters accountable. Right, and now I'm going to go through the TruckSpot app. And while I open this up, the ordinance itself says that trucks are not allowed to run their engines without moving or idle for 5 minutes or more in a 60-minute period. So in a sense, that means you got to kind of watch them. If you're sitting, working at home or at home now due to COVID, it may be easier than it once was, but you can take a picture or you can take a video if you have the ability to do that and document how long was this occurring. So with this TruckSpot app, and this is linked also in our slides and will be shared after the meeting, you can go to it on the computer. If you do that, you're going to go to this data tab at the top right, and it'll allow you to report what's happening. TruckSpot was developed by an organization in Southwest Detroit called Grace in Action, and they're really working to provide opportunities for residents to take action on issues that are concerning to residents. So this page came up, and you see truck reports that have been made, and then this button near the bottom right says report a truck, and you're going to click that, and you can put in all kinds of information. You can allow the system to know where you are if you like. I'm going to click no for now. You can put your name in or not if you want to be anonymous. Put the date of the occurrence, nearest street, where it was. So this is Detroit, but you could put in other cities. And for how long was there a problem? And this is a drop down, so it lets you choose various options. And then what is the problem? How is the truck problematic? Is it idling? Is it just noisy? Is it off route, or is it on a street that it shouldn't be on? Is the truck a big truck with a trailer that's open on top and is not covered? And so there may be dust or other materials coming out of the top of the truck. You can say how many trucks there are. And then you want to type a basic description of what's going on. And again, that could be the time of day that the problem was. Let's say 2 to 2:30 p.m. You've already put the date on top. Truck with name on door X, because sometimes the truck companies have their names on the door. Idling on a side street. It shouldn't be on. And you might list again, what is that street? Merritt. I'm just putting Merritt in because that's where our offices are. And then you can add a picture or a video by select or capture media button. You can submit it. And then this data goes to Grace in Action, who operates this web tool. And the idea with that is that we're developing a database of complaints that can be provided to Councilmember Castaneda Lopez, for example, and that's evidence that there are problems that residents are experiencing that help to push for a change to the ordinance so that it's better enforced, more easily enforced. So that's the TruckSpot app. The other way to report, if you want to report directly to the city, and we recommend doing both, is you can go to the Improve Detroit webpage or the Improve Detroit app. Again, the links are provided. With this, there are a few clicks as opposed to the TruckSpot app. So you've got submit a request, that just means submit an issue. You're going to scroll down and you can go into traffic complaints. When you click that, I put a draft one in already. Go to traffic complaints, same kind of process. You want to put in the things we talked about. You can add into this a location. I put in Brandon Street at Scotton. You click confirm location. You can add an image if you want, if you don't have a photo. click no photo, and then just with the truck spot app, just similar to that, you're going to describe what is the problem. Very noisy truck, idling, 30 minutes, time of day, what day did it occur. This is a drop down for what is the nature of the issue. So I want to flag this because you could say truck driving on restricted street or none of the above. And again, you just provide additional information about the nature of your complaint, when the violations are occurring. And if you have any identifying information about the vehicle, include that too. And then you'll click confirm details and that will be submitted. There had been in the past a Detroit Police Department app called DPD Connect, and that was the preferred way to report these complaints before, but that app is not currently being updated or used. So the city has suggested using the Improved Detroit app in order to, again, officially submit complaints related to the anti-idling ordinance. Again, what we're recommending, just so that we're hitting all the stops, is use the Improved Detroit app, use the Truck Spot app operated by Grace in Action. Copy us on an email to council members or the mayor. That way we can also help to track comments that are going in. And the idea, again, is that we're building a body of evidence to show the problem. And that will help change policy, change that ordinance so that the anti-idling ordinance can be enforced and create less and less idling in the community. Same thing with the truck routes. We can then build a body of evidence by submitting comments that where trucks are driving is problematic for residents in the neighborhood. We are right at 12:30, so I'm sorry for running over. If we can borrow some extra time. I did want to give some time to Maria to talk a little bit about the Clean Diesel initiative that we operate at SDEV, because there are also good actors who are working to reduce emissions. And a lot of the ones who aren't maybe just don't know about the issue. And so we're working to educate them too. So Maria, I am going to hand it over to you and mute myself.
Hi, everyone. As Maggie said, I am Maria. I work on the Clean Diesel Initiative at SDEV. And in summary, that is a collaboration that works with companies voluntarily to address diesel pollution. SDEV, we've been working with companies in this way since 2008, so just over 10 years. And we facilitate truck and equipment replacements by permanently destroying the old higher polluting engines, and that's about 12 to 30 a year, and that's spread across about 6 to 10 project partners a year. Our outreach list is about 120 companies, and we're always working to grow participation. So feel free to let us know if there are companies that you want to see cut their pollution. And with these projects, we're over about 2,000 tons of diesel pollution avoided each year, and growing. So this summer, we are working on gathering an analysis of total emissions cut by doing projects like this since 2008. So we hope to get that data soon and show how much of an impact we've had on the community.
Thanks, Maria. And I am going to just show on my screen, I'm still sharing a couple more events that are coming up. We have another one of these sessions next week, Thursday at noon. And this topic for next week will be a request for a variance to the fugitive dust ordinance that was submitted by Marathon. Also next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. online, there is a environmental justice forum on Southwest Detroit. That's with Senator Chang and resident activist Thomasina Johnson. And it's hosted by St. Philip Lutheran Church. And tonight, well, this afternoon at 4 is the District 6 neighborhood conversation. So that's, again, a Zoom or dial-in activity, and that's hosted by the City of Detroit Department of Neighborhoods, District 6 staff. And Raquel, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Great. So The one thing I want to add is we've got a lot of neighbors here between Junction and Grand Boulevard right here in Scotton, and we've had a lot of inquiries and complaints about trucks. There's a lot of trucks coming up and down from 3 or 4 different logistics companies right around us. We want to demonstrate all of the tools and get your questions and get your information so that we can call you back and have conversations. We also recognize that a lot of the residents aren't going to get on their phone, they're not going to get on their web, they're not going to send an email. So we're looking for additional ways to collect the information, maybe their interviews, maybe I can go to their house and record them with my phone. We recognize that because the residents are either shy or don't want to give that information out, or perhaps they are an other language speaker, they are not getting this information, and so they are not it's not as easy to respond. So there's a lot of other barriers that we are still kind of working through, and we're looking for ideas, we're looking for partnerships, we're looking for communication from anybody that has an idea that might work. So please add any more questions in the chat, and we can either unmute you now or respond to everyone individually. So if there's no more questions, we thank everyone for joining us today, and we are going to upload this video and get it out on Facebook. We're trying to also figure out how people are consuming information. So email is not one of them. So, and we will be recording all of the chat, all of the questions, and making sure we get all this information back out to you. So any more questions going once, going twice? With that, we will close the call, and thank you so much for joining, and please reach out to us with any ideas that you have or comments or feedback. All right, have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.